This is a presentation of National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasters, 70 weekly shows, and a 3.4-star rating on Roku TV.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, from Brooklyn. Hey, guess any.
Here we are, James. We're back. We're back here on Wednesday with the National Professional Sports Show. And we'll be having other co-hosts jumping in. Keith Engel will definitely be in. Captain Jack's going to try to make it in. He's got some personal things he's doing, but he's going to try and make it in. And CJ DeSimone, he says he's going to try and make it in too. So it's either going to be I know Keith will be in. There's no doubt about that. But at least me and James are here to start you off, and we'll welcome in as they come. James, let's get it rolling with the Olympics, right? I mean, we got to talk about the Olympics. The Olympics are right now the biggest story. I mean, we got MLB playing, but there's a couple stories we'll talk about in there. Some NFL. We'll kind of do an NFL roundup, near the end. But the men's USA basketball team destroys Brazil. I mean, it wasn't even a contest. 122-87. Booker gets the 18 points. He's a lead scorer. Durant becomes the number one scorer in Olympic basketball history. 5 players in double teams. I'll even give you another fact here. Today, the Dream Team won the gold, and they were undefeated too. And it looks like this team's going to be undefeated. Serbia's up next, James. What do you think?
Look, let me say this. I love the Dream. They're not the Dream Team. They're not the Redeem Team. They're another team, another USA team that's dominating right now. And they can continue to do so. But Serbia, I wouldn't be surprised if they gave us a run for their money. I mean, you have the Joker on the team, and he's not something that no one to sleep on. He's a great player. They have a good team, but it looks like USA, as long as they don't fall asleep at the wheel, they can go ahead and win this one and continue on towards the goal. I think they have a great chance of winning gold again. At first, I was in doubt at the beginning of the year because they're a little bit old, injury prone, and I'm like, wow, this is the best they got. But looks like they all came to play, Mac, and I'm really impressed, and I think they're going to win the gold this year.
I think there's something to be said. Steph Curry seems not there. I mean, Steph Curry is not having a good series at all. I know he plays for Stephen Kerr, and even the easy shots he's having problems with. It's like he doesn't fit in with this team. Now, I know Steph Curry is a type of player that will defer. He did that with Durant when Durant played there. He kind of deferred to you. He'll make a pass instead of taking a shot. But I haven't seen Steph Curry come out and take over a game in the Olympic games yet.
His game is based off of a lot of running around and coming off the ball. He's off ball, and he sometimes he can come and drive in and score at will. But he's not a true point guard, and he plays point guard. But he's more of a shooting guard, as you can see. He shoots the ball, and so I guess having so many different players coming from different teams, that game really doesn't work with him. I mean, I've seen it. Him and LeBron seem to have good chemistry together, but they're not on the floor all the time. So I don't know. I think he had his moments, a few games where he lit it up. I think it was the second game, or first or second game, he had like the most points. He shot up quite a few threes. So I guess it's just a matter of the chemistry. And I'm not going to sleep on him. If he they're probably going to need him in this game anyway, and so I look for him to bounce back.
You know, his game is coming off screens a lot, right? That's what Steph Curry does. He comes off screens. Let's bring in my friend and your friend and everybody's friend, Keith Engel, as he joins us here.
Everybody's friend, believe me.
So, Keith, we're talking about, and to remind everybody, Talking Baseball will not be on tonight because of some family issues, but an interview with Keith Engel will be on right after this. So,
Riveting.
Yeah, a very riveting interview that I did with Keith that you'll all enjoy, trust me. So check that out. Stay with us. And of course, after that, Sports Scope and Prim and Proper and all that follow us. So stick with us all. Wednesday night's just busy. Keith, we're talking about of course, the men's Olympics teams. And, you know, I'm kind of surprised. I'm with James. I thought maybe they were a little old in the tooth, and maybe they should have gone with a couple different younger players, maybe a Jaylen Brown, Brunson. I'm trying to remember the guy from the Pacers, the Halberton or
Halliburton, but he's there. He's actually there.
There was somebody from Indiana I wanted to play. You know, I like what Anthony Edwards has done with them. He's going to kind of carry the torch into the future. But, you know, they're going to play Serbia, Keith. Everybody's worried about Joker. Even James said, you know, they better not sleep on him. Listen, they're going to run two all-star, all-pro, whatever centers at him. They're going to have Embiid on him. They're going to have Davis on him. They might have Ed DeBio on him. I mean, they're going to wear this guy down. And this is where I think the USA team has the best team, is they can throw so many weapons at you.
Yeah, we talked a lot about this. Sir, they played Serbia twice in a run up to the Olympics in a very short period of time. One was a closer game. The second time, they handled them much more easily, I think, if I remember right. This team looked very lethargic coming into the Olympics, and we talked about, I think they realized, I think a couple of those scares that they had, they realized you couldn't just roll the ball out there and get a gold medal. And we talked about Steve Kerr being the right guy, or whether he was or wasn't the right guy. And I thought he was, just because of his even hand and then handling these types of egos. I think he's done a great job. I don't think I think if Serbia might give him a game. Look, at Puerto Rico gave him a game for, you know, whatever, most of the first half, and they began to pull away towards the half. I think they've got their eye on the prize now, and I think they'll handle Serbia and everybody else. Canada is really, to me, the only threat to them. And I'm not even sure.
I think they got eliminated.
Well, did I go? I missed that. Sorry.
Yes.
France put them up.
Yeah, France took care of them. And, you know, the thing about France, and Wembanyama didn't even have a really good game offensively. Defensively, he did. But, you know, are you surprised that in the draft they took, 4 France guys in the first round? I don't think any of those rookies, if I'm not mistaken, are playing with France this year either. I don't think Stars with them or the other two. They're not with them. Next year they probably will be. I mean, France next year I think might win it all. I mean, next Olympics. But yeah, I'm not surprised France took it to Canada. Everybody thought Canada was going to be, you know, the only team that could beat the U.S. You got a heck of a league in France. I mean, they're no joke anymore. So
yeah, but they didn't have great expectations coming into this Olympics, because they've been kind of down in international play since the last Olympics. They were disappointing in Tokyo, and I know they haven't played well in international competition since then. So there weren't as high hopes as maybe what they've even done so far. I mean, I guess I'm not sure if they're not guaranteed a medal yet, right? But they're certainly playing better. I thought Canada would beat France. That's why I made an assumption there. I hadn't seen that score.
I see us in France for the gold. That's what I think is going to happen. They're playing Germany. I think they handle Germany, and you're going to see Wembanyama going up against the USA All-Stars there. So Simone Biles ends up with a silver on the floor routine. She's the most decorated gymnast in the history of gymnastics. She passed Shannon Miller, great gymnast for the United States. Let's bring in CJ, the painkiller from Weapons Hot. briefs going on fire. I mean, there's all kinds of things happening with CJ over there. So we'll bring him up in here. And how you doing tonight, CJ?
Doing pretty good. Still recovering from COVID, but we're on the mend.
Excellent. Glad to have you in tonight. So we're talking a little bit. We already talked about the men's basketball, CJ. We're pushing on to Simone Biles. She's 2 gold medals away from the greatest Soviet gymnast and probably the greatest female gymnast of all time, who had 9. Let me see if I get her name right. Larissa Latininas. Yeah, she has 9 of them. Simone's talking about maybe, since it's going to be in LA next Olympics, she might participate again. And even though she's getting a little old for a gymnast, I mean, she could probably pick up 2 gold medals in 2028, at least on the vault. I know she'll get 1 because nobody even attempts to do that vault that she does. So what do you think? I mean, you think Simone will maybe participate in 2028?
Yeah, it could be a distinct possibility. I mean, she'll be given the opportunity to etch her name forever in granite in regards to Olympic history. I mean, why wouldn't you want the opportunity to be able to do it?
Yeah, I would agree with that. If she, again,
she'd be 30 or 31 years old, I think, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of gymnasts out there getting gold medals at 30, 31 years old. I think there was somebody in the competition. I can't remember where they were from. I think she was 30 this year, and I saw her on the uneven parallel bars. And I don't think she fared all that well. If I'm not mistaken, she fell off the top bar. She had a tough round, but listen, she's a great athlete. She doesn't need to prove anymore, I don't think. She may want to win gold in her home country. If she wants to give it a run, I'm certainly not going to be against it, but I think she'd have a tough run. This is a young person's sport. I mean, there's a lot of rigors here, man. Plus, she's got a family now. That makes a big difference, staying in shape for 4 years, training. So we'll see. Hopefully she does. If she wants to, then God bless her.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree with that. Yeah, it's a young, you're talking about 13, 14-year-old girls that compete in this. So, yeah, it is. And the women's soccer team moving to the semifinals. There was I think this is probably, CJ, the most controversial national team, I think you could say, in the last 4-6 years, maybe. I mean, with all the protests as they were doing national competitions, those girls are gone. And we got a new batch of girls. And, Dennis Rodman's daughter's in this. They're going to the semifinals. They're also undefeated. Me and Jack kind of got in a little bit of an argument, as always, a couple of shows ago about this. I mean,
wait a second. You and Jack get into an argument?
Yeah, I'm a different Jack than I'm thinking of. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What was I for this? And how come it's not on video? That's what I want to know.
It is. It's on video. CJ, I know people hold grudges and think things. Do you think that if they win the gold, that maybe that bad taste that a lot of Americans have in their mouth with this new group of girls, new coach, maybe we start kind of giving them a second chance as they continue playing?
Yeah, of course it is, because winning is the ultimate deodorant. So if the U.S. national team goes out and wins gold medal, and they do it in a somewhat dominant fashion like they have in the past, then nobody's really going to care about what happened 4 years ago, or who stood up and protested and who did this or who did that. Probably just the only people that would care would be the only people who felt butthurt by the protest to begin with. Other than that, but I think for your average casual, average Joe sports fan, they're not going to care one way or another. What they want to see is they want to see winning. And if the U.S. national team, the U.S. women's national team, is going to end up pulling off gold in this year's Olympics, then I don't think anybody's going to care.
Let me be devil's advocate, Keith. They still are talking about the Houston Astros being cheaters, right? I mean, today, we don't want to see those cheaters win. And a lot of those players are gone too. The coaches changed, the manager has changed. They're all out of there. But they still talk about winning that World Series, cheating even to today.
Well, to be fair, I don't, because I say it's the most overrated scandal in the history of sport. But
Thank you, Keith.
I agree.
it's Brian Cashman also keeps crying about that, and I tell him to shut up. You scored 1 run a game. That didn't keep you from losing a World Series. But
Right.
you're right. There are a lot of people who will demonize the Astros. They demonize guys like Jose Altuve and say he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because of what happened here, which is ridiculous. Jose Altuve is going to be first ballot Hall of Fame, without a doubt. People don't.
No
People. There are certain people who will never forget. But to CJ's point, it's a little bit different, I think, on the stage that we're talking about with the women's soccer team, because about the night, all the names change at some point. We've still got Altuve to remind us. We've still got, it's not that far in the past. And as far as whether the fans accept this team more than the last team, it'll depend. I mean, nobody was going to listen to these guys if they protested anyway, because they were nobodies. They hadn't proved anything. They hadn't won anything. That's when people start to speak up and use their voices. So let's see how that team comports themselves. I guess will depend on how people should get over some of this. Again, stop mixing sports with everything else. It gets old after a while.
Thank you again, Keith.
Right. So that's my opinion.
Well, I asked the question. Do I get thanked too? I mean, listen.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
And just
here's
know-
the thing. Let me just add something to that really quick, and then Mac, you can have at it. All right. Sports, as long as I've been around. All right. I just turned 52 at the end of July.
God, I wish I was 52.
Sports has always been
Me too.
the escape from everyday reality, from politics, from religion, from all of the garbage that goes on in today's world. Sports is supposed to be the one thing that, instead of dividing everybody, is supposed to bring everybody together. It's supposed to be that one commonality that we can forget all the other BS for about 15, 20 minutes or a half hour for an hour or whatever, and be able to come together as sport fans and actually be able to enjoy whatever sport it is that we're watching. And the problem is that once you mix politics, religion, personal agendas with sport, you've now muddied the waters. And what you do is you make it unattractive for people like me, because now I get disgusted by it. Now, for the average fan who's only been watching it for the past decade or so, they don't know any better because this is all that they know. But for people our age, and I'm talking about, I'm looking at you, Mac. I'm looking at you, Keith. And no, I'm not talking about dinosaurs. I'm even looking at you too, James. All right. So, we've been around in the quiet era where sports was sports and it was left alone. And it should have been left alone. But instead, let's have a political agenda. Let's use this to put this on. Let's use this to push this social cause. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Well,
Now it's become a circus.
CJ, if you're old as I am, which you're not, you would remember that the Olympics have been used as political for decades and decades and decades, all the way back to World War II.
Basically,
We didn't go to the 1980 Olympics or 70? I think it was the 80 Olympics because of the Afghan war with Russia. There was the hostages taken in
72 or something like that?
72, the hostages were taken. I mean, that's the thing about
in 1936, I think.
There you go. There you go. So, I mean, the Olympics are different. It's a different animal than the Olympics back here. And I mean, the sports back here in the United States,
right? Because
this is where they have a chance to, I don't know, make their point, which is totally stupid. And I agree with you. It shouldn't be about that, but it is. Even France, with the terrorism going on over there, they're very worried about something that could happen because of what they got going on over there in that country. I agree with you, but the problem was with the U.S. soccer team was that not only did they not wear the flag, not only did they not stand for the national anthem, they even back at home, they were protesting things in the name of them being Olympic champions. And that's why a lot of people stopped watching the United States women's soccer team, even in regular competitions. They didn't want to watch them anymore because they had a problem with them going overseas, You can protest all you want over here about things, but once you go over to the national stage, a world stage, and you start protesting the United States and talking bad about the United States when you're representing the United States, that's when people got upset, CJ. And I understand that. I can understand that.
I agree with that part a lot.
So
I still am able to somehow, it's getting harder and harder, that I can separate the sports and the politics. I can like a guy for the way he plays on the field and not agree with his politics and some of the things that they do, right? LeBron James is a great basketball player, top 5, wherever you want to put him. He's a great player regardless. A lot of people don't like the things with China and the things off the court, and I get that. But I can still recognize his ability on the court and separate that from everything else. And everybody should be able to do that. We can't do that because, and it's not all our fault because, as CJ said, we're hit over the head with it all the time. So it becomes ingrained in people, and people my age, when I made, the whole kneeling for the flag and stuff, there was a lot of hypocrisy in that whole thing in the NFL. We didn't even show the national anthem before games, unless it was a Super Bowl. They didn't even show the national anthem until it became a story because players were kneeling. So I'm not saying it's not important, but how important was it when the networks wouldn't even show the national anthem until this came up? So again, to me, I try to separate it. I can have my thoughts about what they do off the field, and then I can have my thoughts about what they do on the field.
I agree with all that too. I agree with all that, Keith. So a couple more news stories from the Olympics. We got a pretty fast girl on our team. 200 meters, and it didn't even look like she struggled, guys. Gabby Hayes. She just went out fast, stayed fast, and nobody could catch her. I think she's going to go in the relay race, and she didn't even look like she broke a sweat, to be honest with you. You know me watch these runners, and they're bending over and they're huffing and puffing and sitting down. She just walked around like it was nothing. So very impressive, very impressive. She's never won a gold. She's been to other Olympics. She's won a bronze, I think, a couple times. First time she's won a gold. Congratulations to her. And a sport that nobody talks about, wrestling. And I'm telling you right now, guys, there was a dynamite young woman who won gold. Let me get the name for you. Amik Eklor. She wins gold easily. She dominated everybody. 20-year-old girl. Unbelievable. I don't know if you watch any highlights from that, but she was just dominating. So there you go. Our medal count right now. As of 3 p.m., we had 25 gold, China 24, and we're way ahead in total medals, 90 to 62. So there's my patriotism for this show. Yay. So there you go.
I will tell you that I am a person that has paid attention to wrestling because I grew up here where the first men's gold medal winner in Greco-Roman wrestling was Jeff Blatnick, who grew up here about 10 minutes from where I live. He won, I think, in 1984 in LA. After he didn't get a chance to go in 80, we mentioned a minute ago, we didn't go to the Olympics that year. He was a cancer survivor before he won a gold medal, and we just had a big story on him here in the local news commemorating that first men's gold medal in wrestling. So I did pay attention to it myself. So I think it is. There's a lot of sports we don't pay as close attention to anymore, and they've gone away even. So
yeah. I can't,
dancing. And,
I know we're all, James, and especially you, are looking forward to flag football in 2028. I can't wait for that. That's going to be exciting. I will not watch that. I tell you.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And breakdancing.
Breakdancing. They're doing that, right? There's breakdancing actually in the Olympics, right?
Sure. I'll be honest, guys. I used to do that as a kid. I love breakdancing.
I gotta see the video.
It shouldn't be a sport. No, you don't want to see a video. But I actually used to breakdance as a kid. But that shouldn't be a sport. That shouldn't be considered something to watch for Olympics.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Listen, I used to break dance as a kid too. I was horrible at it, but it didn't stop me from trying. It shouldn't be. It still shouldn't be an Olympic sport.
Right. Exactly.
You want to put them on so you think you can dance. Hey, go right ahead.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
How about it?
Dancing in my day too. Now, no, it was on purpose though. It was all by accident. So
Right.
Well, I can tell that you did that a lot, Keith. I'm not going to say anything about your hair loss there.
that's how I lost my hair, just spinning around in my head.
It happens. It does happen.
I heard that about you. I heard they used to call you King Windmill. Is that true?
They did. I know.
Among
they did.
other things, yes.
James, I know your parents got a video of you breakdancing. You've got to get that on. I know somewhere that there actually is video of you breakdancing, and we've got to see them. Well, all right. So
I don't think I have any.
You don't have any? All right. Okay.
No.
All right. I tried.
Don't call me.
So we're in the MLB. Let's talk a little MLB. Listen, De La Cruz, I think if he keeps playing at this rate, is just going to set record after record after record. He had 4 more hits during last game. The game before, he had 4 extra base hits. The first time Cincinnati Red has done that since 1901. Now, they keep stats on these in Major League Baseball since it began way back in, 1700 when the Colonials played the Great Britain team. And I think we won that game too. I'm not sure, but they keep stats on this stuff. And, it's amazing to me, Keith, that no other Cincinnati Red on that great red machine, Pete Rose, Concepcion, Joe Morgan, no one else had 4 multi base hits in one game.
Oh, it's shocking to me. I agree 100%. I would have thought at least one of those guys, if not multiple guys, on that big red machine would have had it for sure. And not to mention some other great players that played before, and Frank Robinson and Veda Pinson, who we've talked about a few times the last few weeks. A lot of great players have come through Cincinnati, and nobody's done that. It is shocking. He is a great player, great, exciting player, man. I'll tell you.
And I mean, if you watch him, I don't know if you watch him or not, James. I hope you are. I mean, if the pitcher isn't paying attention, he'll just take third. You got to pay attention on this guy. He'll just steal a base. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're not watching, he's gone. That's the way they used to play a long time ago, and that's why I enjoy watching this kid play. CJ, they walk Aaron Judge 3 consecutive times last game in Toronto. That's something they did with Barry Bonds a long time ago when he would hit a ball. I mean, the bases are open. They're walking them. I think as long as the Yankees keep winning as they do this, they'll slow down in doing that too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, nobody really wants to pitch to Aaron Judge right now because he's tearing the cover off the ball. And right now it's him and a couple of other guys on the Yankee squad right now that are keeping him afloat. So, and the Yankees could use all the help that they could use all the help that they can get because they're a mash unit right now. And they're basically holding it together with duct tape and spit. And in my opinion, I don't think Brian Cashman did enough at the traded deadline to upgrade this squad for World Series or bust. And personally, if you want my honest opinion as a lifelong Yankee fan, I think it's time for them to tear it all down and to rebuild.
Well, I mean, I agree with you to a point. I don't think you get rid of Judge and Soto.
No, you're not going to get rid of Judge.
Yeah.
So, but you start building around your core, especially like they did in 92, 93. That's what made the Yankees so dominant in the 90s, is the fact that they had a young core through their farm system that they were able to build around. And they were also able to bring up more young kids from their farm system, which enabled them to be sustainably competitive, in which they were able to rattle off championship year after championship year after championship year.
I think, CJ, and you can jump in here, Keith or James, too. I think the problem with today's ball, there's so many wild card teams now that most teams are playing just to get in. And then they get hot in the playoffs, and then they have a shot at winning the World Series. There's no more, I want to win the division. There's a couple teams that are trying. I think the Dodgers, the Phillies. I think the Yankees are playing to win the division this year, but there was not enough people in the trade because everybody's alive. I mean, at one time when you only had, your division leaders going in and maybe one wild card team, a lot of teams would have gave up a lot of their players. They're not doing that because everybody over 500 has a shot. And that's a lot of teams are not willing to trade away their key players because they think they can get in the playoffs and maybe make a run.
What do you think about moving the trade deadline to the middle of August instead of the end of July?
Well, again, if you're going to keep things are going to go backwards, right? So I'd be in favor of it going to June 15th again myself, but you'd have only more buyers, 23 buyers, 7 sellers, basically does not make for, I mean, you see a bunch of relief pitchers get traded and that's basically it. You see a Jazz Chisholm here and there, but it's all relief pitchers and guys want an arm and a leg too you're not going to get an ace pitcher, which where Cashman failed, by the way. That lineup is not deep enough. They did help with Chisholm. DJ coming alive has helped a little bit, but the pitching is what's going to kill them once they hit the postseason. And maybe, again, I'm not pitching a Judge, to go back to that for a second. Not now, and not in the playoffs. Who's going to throw him a strike come playoff time, unless somebody really steps up and protects him? I mean, Austin Wells, why is he batting fourth behind Judge? What's Aaron Boone thinking about? Austin Wells is the best protection I can give Aaron Judge. He's played well of late, but that's a sad commentary. If that's the best I can do to protect my number one hitter.
Yeah, I agree.
They may have to move him. To be honest with you, they may have to move Soto back behind Judge if they're going to try to get Judge maximized here in the stretch run.
They're going to have to, because they're going to need to cultivate offense from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, they at least got to have a guy that can hit the ball over 300, that can at least move people around the bases. I mean, I don't know if that means moving Volpe to fifth batting slot or not. Right now, he's one of the hottest hitters they have. I don't know what they do, but I agree. If they're just going to leave Soto in front of Judge, Soto's going to get pitched to. Judge is not going to get pitched to,
right,
especially when he's leading off.
And by the way, the inning, so volumes about Stanton, who Jack loves to tell me how great he is and why the Yankees don't do well when he's not in the lineup. Stanton's one of the biggest problems in this lineup because he's a hole in the lineup. He leaves guys on base right and left. That's why he's not batting fourth. And he's getting paid like a number 4 hitter or number 3 hitter, but you can't use him there. So
yeah. Maybe Chaz, maybe Jazz is the answer behind Judge. I don't know.
Maybe.
I think CJ and Keith, you're both right. They need someone that can at least put the ball in play. I mean, they need that. They need that bad. Right now, they don't have enough of those players, that's for sure. So I'm not worried. I think the Yankees will be a fan. Fine. Go ahead, Keith.
And apparently I'm more right than CJ because I'm still here.
Yes. CJ had to cut out early.
You kicked out of the studio. I must be more right.
Well, yeah. Listen. CJ. He's very opinionated, and if I don't agree with you, I can mute you. I can kick you out. I can do whatever I want. So anyway.
Yeah. We've all fell victim to that type of thing with you, Mac. I think.
Boston manager Alex Cora gets over 500 wins. Talking about a manager on Houston when they were cheating. But anyway, he went back to
coach.
Yeah, coach, man. Coach has more. Let me tell you something. A coach has more to do with winning than a manager. All right, I'm gonna give you my imitation of Joe Torre right now. Okay, this is my imitation of Joe Torre. Hey, Don, what should I do next? Well, Joe, put a pinch runner in. Thanks. Okay, pitch runner. That's what managers do. They sit there, they chew on their sunflower seeds. Oh, come on, Keith. They don't do anything. That's fair as a beat.
That's not.
Okay.
Is it not true, Keith?
No.
Oh, come on. Keith,
Joe Torre greatly responsible for that Yankee dynasty.
Oh,
he was a great guy to have sitting on a bench next to you to bounce things off of, but Don Zimmer wasn't there making the final decisions. Joe Torre.
And the third base coach, I forget who that was, and first base coach. I know they weren't slackers either. So they had
coaching staff. Again, managers pick good coaches, right? I mean, and you can delegate to do
exactly
things, not manage the game. That their job is to manage the game.
What is that? But what is managing the game? I don't get what managing in baseball. Listen, in football, head coach has a lot of responsibility. I mean, they are involved in every facet of the game. And hockey, head coach is involved in every facet of the game. And basketball, the head coaches, they call them coaches. But in baseball, it's a manager, right? He manages the game. And how he manages the game is by chewing seeds and spitting them out.
Not
and,
true.
You know, he runs out there and argues with the ump every once in a while just to, show
you're dismissing a whole lot of things. You have to put together a lineup that is cohesive and works, which Aaron Boone has trouble doing, obviously. You have to be able to manage a pitching staff and delegate roles and keep guys in those roles. It used to be a lot of in-game decisions other than just changing pitchers, because now it's just home runs, strikeouts, and walks. So there's not a lot of managing to be done there, but you used to have to manage bunts and steals and double switches. We don't have to do any of that anymore. So I'll give you that managers may have been marginalized a little bit as we've moved on in baseball, the way it's played today. Yeah. And general managers do a lot of the managing today. I mean, that's one of the problems in New York, in my mind, that Aaron Boone doesn't do most of the managing. Not the guy sitting next to him either. It's the guy up in the GM office that does the bulk of the managing, and that's the problem.
Yes, there you go. So in a way, Keith's saying I'm right. Thank you.
In a way, yes, but I'm saying you shouldn't be right. Is my point.
I agree. Listen, there's not too many Billy Martins out there anymore. I think Alex Cora is very involved in coaching. I'll tell you.
Team that should have been finished. Everybody picked to finish last. Everybody. Yeah. That's before all the guys got hurt.
I agree. I agree. Listen, I mean, he's a good coach. Yeah, I'll give that him. I think there's a few managers out there that are really good coach. So let's get to our football, kind of our football roundup. It's not because it's the Giants I'm bringing this up, but the Giants ended up getting in a lot of fights with the Detroit Lions during the practice they had, the scrimmage they had there. They were fighting almost every play, and I blame the coaches for this because even when I coach and we did have we scrimmage other teams and things would get a little hostile, you pull your players to the side. You say, listen, anybody fights, you're out. You're just out. If I'm an NFL coach, I say, listen, anybody else fights, they're going to get fined. And if an announcement's going to be made, we're not here to fight. We're not here to wrestle. We're here to practice on our game. That's what we're here for. And if you can't do that, get out the field. And I go to the head coach, and the head coach don't agree to me, I pull my team off the field. I'm not here to be macho and fight and have my quarterback Daniel Jones jump into the middle of things, who was hurt last year, and try to save his center for some reason. And if I was a coach, I would have grabbed him and sat him down too. I mean, we're giving you a year to prove yourself, and you want to get hurt and practice. NFL agreed with me. They fined each team $200,000, and one of the cornerbacks for the Detroit Lions is out indefinitely because he was injured in one of the fights. I mean, what are you doing?
It's an interesting. I mean, these things happen in training camps, even with teams within teams, right? And sometimes coaches, by the way, encourage that type of behavior to fire a team up.
That's old school.
It still happens. I've seen it on Hard Knocks nearly every season, where the coaches go, let them go, and let something happen. Now you let things go, and now it gets out of control, like the Lions and the Giants. I don't know. I've never been a big fan of these shared practices anyway, because it's just inviting this type of stuff, and you're liable to get guys hurt for no reason. We don't play guys in preseason games for that reason, but then we bring them in scrimmages where they're less controlled than a game would be. And, you put your quarterbacks and your starters at risk, right? So.
Well, you're not supposed to hit the quarterback. You're not supposed to do. They got the red shirt, so you don't hit the quarterback in these scrimmages. Some wide receivers really don't get killed either. But, James, when you got a coach. Yeah, we can hear you. Hear us? Yeah, well, there goes James. Look at that. It's just me and you, Keith. I mean. Well.
Here's just mano a mano now, Mac. You got all the controls, and I'll do my best. I'll do my best to stay in a room.
Okay. Listen, Keith, I believe that scrimmages are good when you want to work on things, when you want to teach players something, when you want to maybe work on a running play or a 2-minute offense. It's good. I used to do it all the time. Fine. But if you're going to have refs there, which they do,
Yeah.
and the refs aren't going to call penalties like in Seattle they didn't, and if the coaches are going to continue to allow this to happen, listen, to me, this is all about macho stuff. Now, Campbell is a very macho coach, right, James? You got to admit.
Yeah.
The head coach of the Lions is macho. Dable is a hothead. These guys are not, these are not Don Shula and Bill Belichick, who are a little bit more reserved to say, listen, this is stupid. We're here to work on things. We're not here to fight. So I think that added to it. And I think it's the coach's fault. And if Daniel Jones got hurt, or if the quarterback for the Detroit Lions, if he got hurt, starting quarterback, Goff gets hurt, they're screwed.
To me, that's the most idiotic part about this, is that the quarterback got himself involved in this, and you're probably the most vital part, at least trying to be the most vital part of your team. They let a running back go because of you. They don't want to pay you and a running back as well. So this is your prove it or lose it year. And what are you doing? And I get it. Tensions rise up. It's hot. Everybody, is out there practicing. Some guys are trying to make the team. It still needs to be under control. And I agree with you about the coaches. You have to blame the coaches in the situation. There's no way it should be getting to this point. And like you said, now a player is indefinitely out because of something that was clearly avoidable. If you just have this under control. So yeah, they need to do better with this.
And tomorrow night they play each other in a preseason game, and I guarantee you, after getting fined,
there'll be less action in the game. They don't want to, because the guys aren't going to play. They don't play the starters in the preseason games because they don't want them to get hurt, like I said. But then they let this stuff go on in a scrimmage, and that it seems counterintuitive to me.
It is. It definitely is. So let me give you some of there are. There's 2 games tomorrow night that I know of. I know the Giants are playing Detroit. I think the Patriots are playing tomorrow night too, Keith, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I feel like tonight. I'm not sure why. Let me just take a quick.
I think it's Thursday night they start. I think.
Oh wait.
Okay.
I got the wrong week here. What week are we in?
7th. We're the 7th.
Thursday night, New England and Carolina. Yeah.
Right. So they're playing Carolina. So, I'm going to leave that alone. I thought you were going to say.
Sonya's not here.
Is that my boy Chris up there? I'm going to have to check that out.
Yes. And so anyway, so that's that. And then the rest of the teams are playing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Some news, there are some starters that are going to play. Definitely Jaden Daniels is going to play for Washington. Joe Burrows is going to play for Cincinnati. It looks like Caleb Williams will play this week. And of course, the rookie quarterbacks that were drafted, I will all get in there. Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy, Drake May. A lot of people are, there's a word that Drake May is not doing that well, which in practice, which doesn't surprise me. That's why they went out and got Brissett, and that's why he'll probably be playing next year. He's a young kid. He doesn't have that pressure. And, I'm kind of glad the Giants didn't go up and get
Joe Milton is playing very well in camp, by the way. Interesting enough. He might be out playing Brissett at this point. I don't expect him to start by any stretch of imagination. But he's been playing pretty well. It's a big difference. So Joe Burrow's going to go out there and play one series, and he'll be out tomorrow night.
Right.
Now, Caleb Williams should not be playing one series and be out. He should be play at least a half, because this guy's got to get reps in the preseason to get ready. We talked about this, I think, last week.
I agree.
He's got to play reps. He's got to have reps to get ready for the season. And any of these rookie quarterbacks, they expect to play from the outset, and maybe he's the only one that is a sure thing to play right away. They need to be out there playing.
Well, yeah, Jaden Daniels will start. There's no doubt about that. That's another one.
Right, he's the other guy. Right, he would be another.
And I would think Bo Nix will start for Denver. I mean, I know they're saying it's a quarterback competition, blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
Not a sh-
I think Bo. Yeah, I think Bo Nix starts. Penix Jr. will get to see play too. So these are the top quarterbacks everybody was raving about. We'll see them.
Patriots might play all 4 quarterbacks tomorrow night. It's possible that they'll play all 4.
Yes. And
Hey.
speaking, go ahead, James. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, Keith, I remember texting you the night of the draft when Milton was picked. I said, that's a very sneaky pick there. I think that something might come of that a little later on, but we'll see.
Well, let's not forget, because I'll keep reminding people, especially if Drake May doesn't pick it up at some point. Hopefully he will. That I was advocating taking a quarterback late and taking Marvin Harrison Jr. with that 3rd pick. And this is why. You can find guys. You can find, again, he's still got a long ways to go before he's a proven NFLer, don't get me wrong. But you can find diamonds in the rough later on.
Yeah. I definitely.
Out of Michigan. Oh, that's one guy, but still.
Yeah. I listen, I agree with that. I mean, yeah, I mean, listen, there's quite a few quarterbacks that are starting that weren't taken in the first round, and we discussed that ad nauseum. I mean, there's only like almost 30% are the ones that make starters. I mean, not even franchise. I mean, just make the team. I mean, that's second string. So I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy.
I think this I gave you was less than 10% of first round drafted quarterbacks even start a playoff game in their career.
Right. I mean, that's how tough it is. So, I'm not surprised any quarterbacks that don't make it. I'm really not. So let's talk a little bit about the holdout. CeeDee Lamb's still out. We have Ayuk looking for a deal. The Pat said, you want too much. We're not paying you $28 million a year after we signed you. You're out of your mind. Pittsburgh and Cleveland are still in the hunt. Pittsburgh needs a number 2. I don't know if Cleveland. Brandon Ayuk and maybe give him a draft. I don't know what the plan is there. To me, Brandon Ayuk is not a number 1 receiver, and I'm sorry. He's got great numbers. He's got great numbers. He's in the top 10 with numbers. I think he's part of that system. I mean, you take Deebo Samuels or Christian McCaffrey out of there, or even George Kittle. I don't think he does that. He's not going to take over a game. He's no Justin Jefferson. He's no, he's no Cheetah. He's not that. I don't think he's that. I think he's a very good receiver, though. It'd be a nice piece for another team. So we'll see. I think he's going to be shocked, James. He's not going to get 28 to 30 million a year. I know he's going to pay him that.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll just say one thing. There's always one stupid owner. Just remember that in sports. Every sport, there's one stupid owner.
Yeah. The Raiders and a couple other teams. But, I don't think he's going to get that money. But like you said, there's always one owner who just likes to prove everybody wrong, and they never do. I don't think I agree with you, Mac. I don't think he's at the level of the $28 to $30 million range. I would pay him more so maybe at the low 20s. I mean, he's worth that amount. Maybe a $20 million to maybe $22 million a year contract, but not 28 to 30.
No, he's not. He's definitely not worth that. Hassan Reddick still isn't in for the Jets. He's holding out, and Matthew Judon is still wanting a contract, still discussing it, but he's now practicing with the team. Jack suggested a trade between the Jets and Patriots, Judon for Reddick. And I know Keith would go right for that trade in a minute.
No, I think we lose badly in that trade, so I'll hold off pulling the trigger there. I love Matthew Judon as a player. He's a great, great player when he's on the field, which hasn't been enough the last 2 seasons. So,
Yeah.
But you know what? These guys got to start honoring their contracts. Don't sign long-term contracts if you think you're going to be underpaid, 2 years into it.
Keith, and a lot of people are kind of saying Jerry Jones is making a mistake. Jerry Jones, to me, and listen, I'm not a big Jerry Jones fan. I'm really not. But he's got a point. You want this money? Show me you can do it. That's what he's telling Dak Prescott. Win a playoff game. Take me to the Super Bowl. I'll pay you. But show me. You still got another year. I think he's the same thing with CeeDee Lamb. It's the same thing with Micah Parsons. He's saying, I want to make sure I spent my money well. Now, it may bite him in the end. It probably will. It might bite him with Dak. It might bite him with one of the other players. But listen, I don't blame him for saying that, right?
Yeah, but he's got to pay CeeDee Lamb now. There's no way. You're not going to – I mean, and the rate's just going to get higher next year. You better pay him this year. He's got to get paid. Top 3 receiver, likely. I mean, there's no way. There's no way you don't pay him. I can see waiting on Dak. You gave him a contract. Dak probably hit his ceiling already, and he's probably not going to be any better than what he is. But CeeDee Lamb, he's the guy that has to get the ball from the quarterback. He has to receive it. And there was no second guy on the other end. So I just dominated by myself. You got to pay this guy. There's no way.
He's under contract, James. They don't have to pay him. They do not have to pay him. What's he going to do? Sit out?
They can win because they're probably not going to pull a trade off to get any kind of equal value at this point in the preseason. So to James' point, if they don't bring him in, they're going to probably piss away the season. There's nobody on that roster to step up.
I agree. Listen, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, we're talking about Dak having to play out his contract. CeeDee Lamb signed a contract, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree. I just said they should honor their contracts. I agree with you, but he's got leverage here in a way, and he's going to use it. So,
I don't disagree with that. To me, that's just piss poor drafting, right? Yeah. I mean, if you know that a player like CeeDee Lamb has a big year like that, I mean, as a thinking man, you're like, man, this guy's going to want more money. I got to go get me a good receiver. There's plenty of good receivers out there. I got to think ahead, man. And I don't know what's up with these GMs. They get in this predicament with quarterbacks. They're in this predicament with these big these wide receivers. Micah Parsons is coming up with for a contract. Next year, I'm drafting a great linebacker. I'm doing it. I want some leverage. I don't get why the GMs and the scouts don't think like that. I don't understand. I know the Patriots did, and they were successful for years. The 20, they were successful every year. Why
they would let guys walk,
yes.
2 years too soon rather than a year too late all the time.
Yeah. They always had somebody waiting in the wings, man. And the players that wanted to play for the Patriots and win stayed. The ones that didn't, that wanted all that money, we're gonna go make your money, man. I mean, I don't get why other GMs don't do that. That's all I'm saying. Let me see here. We went over preseason games. I got something for you. We're going to tease the NFL big football show Sunday. Got a couple lists. I love lists, and I'm watching Netflix Quarterback. Just to let you all know, I'll have some of that for you NFL Sunday too. Very, very interesting. 3 different quarterbacks. You had Patrick Mahomes. You had Marcus Mariota, and you also had Kirk Cousins. So,
Kirk Cousins. Yeah, that was great. It was a great series.
Yes. So I'm watching that. Let me give you a quick. These are the top 10 linebackers of all time, according to this dude here. I'm trying to. Did I write down his name? Let's see. Yeah, I got his name. Larry. Is it Larry Mezek? Anyway, I'll get the name for Sunday of this guy who writes down the top 10 linebackers. Now, the first mistake he made is he didn't single out inside linebackers and outside linebackers. 2 different positions. Anybody that knows football knows being a middle linebacker and outside linebacker. 2 different things. So he mixes them together. That's his first mistake he makes. So I'll give you his top 3. I'm not going to give you his top 10, and this should be enough to get you guys going. Number 1, Dick Butkus. He's great middle linebacker, right? I don't know if he's number 1. But
you would Butkus, right?
No, he's in the top 10. The second one is Ray Lewis, another middle linebacker. He's in the top 10 easy, right? He's probably up near the top more than the left. Third is Junior Seau.
But then he's outside, yeah. That's a total different. And then you take him over. If you're going to take outside, you're going to take him over Lawrence Taylor?
Never.
Well, guess what? This is going to be fun for you guys to think about. He's not even in the top 10 guys.
Lawrence
what?
How does a guy who changed the way the game is played not?
Yes. That's more arguably number 1. He should be.
Listen, I love Buck. I love Jack Lambert, but LT's number 1. Sorry.
All right. So, but I'm saying Butkus and Lambert, middle linebacker, outside linebacker, still different. But I mean, if you're going to do both, and you don't have LT in your top 3, and he's not in your top 10, you're an idiot.
I'm throwing your list away is what I'm doing.
Right.
Maybe
Well,
he's just gaslighting to get views or clicks.
Well, no, because it doesn't. You have to continue reading it. I mean, it's not right up there like LT is not in top 10. So I guess this is honestly his opinion, and some of these schmucks don't belong in there. So I'm saving it for the Sunday Big Football Show. The rest of these picks because it's unbelievable. People love lists.
My guess is he wrote this article just biding his time to flag football in the next Olympics, probably.
I think you're right. How you doing, Paul? Chris, glad that you came in tonight. Here's another list that we're going to start going over through the top 100 players. This is voted in by the players. It's for 2024, so it's based off 2023, right? I mean, you can't. I can't say who's going to be the greatest player this year. We haven't started playing yet. So this is their thoughts on who it should be. We talked about Tyreek Hill is number 1. All right. Okay. I'll concede that. I'll say he should be in the top 5, maybe. Okay. He did have an unbelievable year. He's a threat on anybody. Number 2 is Lamar Jackson. Now, James is shaking his head yes, because he's younger than us.
No,
I'm only shaking my head because I agree with. I mean, I saw the list. Yes.
Right. Okay. So Lamar Jackson out of the top 100 is number 2 over a lot of different players that, but anyway, number 3 is Christian McCaffrey. I can agree with that. I'll give you 4. Number 4 is Patrick Mahomes. And I got all the stats and everything for the Big Football Show. Can you imagine anybody picking Lamar Jackson over, I don't care if you're a player or not, over Patrick Mahomes?
No. The Taylor Swiftites could make that pick for crying out loud. Come on.
I mean, I'd say on any other year. I mean, he was MVP. It's hard to not pick an MVP in the top 3.
Yeah, but this is a top 100. This is not the most valuable 100, right? I mean, there's a difference between best and most valuable, right? And normally a quarterback's the most valuable on any team. I mean, if you took a starting quarterback on any team that made the playoffs, they probably wouldn't have made the playoffs. And Lamar Jackson is a great player, but he is not number 2. So, and like I said, we're going to go through this every week until we get there. Should have a guest on Sunday too. We're going to get Commander Nash in here, which is watching Redskins super fan. So anyway, I had to just throw a tease out there for Sunday. We got some college news I didn't go over with Keith yet. We'll do that tomorrow with him on our show. And on Sunday, of course, we'll talk maybe a little bit more about the Pats. We'll even maybe review the preseason games to that point. I mean, it really doesn't matter. My opinion on preseason, and tell me if you disagree with me. I want to see the young players that have potential of making the team. That's the main reason why I watch it, right? I want to see the first starting offensive line if they work okay together. The first defense if they play, if they're tackling well, the basics. But I mean, I'm kind of rooting for different players that, may or may not make the team. That's the main reason why I watch preseason. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not.
Well, the best game was the 4th game before you took it away because you had guys really trying to make the team. I'll never forget the guy for the Giants. There was Victor Cruz, again, against the Jets. Best example I've ever seen of somebody that's undrafted. I mean, I was like, who is that kid, man? He's lighting it up out there. Caught 3 touchdowns in 1 game against the Jets. I'll never forget that. So, yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate to take that last game away.
Keith?
Well, being as, again, I think the preseason should be more for getting starters ready to play than it is. And if we're not going to do that, then yes, I'd like to watch some of the kids play and earn their way or worm their way off the roster.
Right.
But I would like to see starters play more.
I agree with that too. And if you had an extra game, you could play starters more and have the young kids get their chance because they have more.
The third game was for playing the starters, 3 quarters or even the whole game. And then the 4th game, as James said, was kind of for the rookies to kind of take their last shot.
Right. So, I mean, so we're going to have weeks of terrible football again to start the season off with, because they're still playing
I'll wait till we get
preseason.
to October.
And yes, I agree. So, folks, thanks for joining us at today's show. Right after this, we got an interview with somebody named Keith Angle. On after that, we got Sports Scope, we got Prim and Proper, we got all kinds of stuff ready for you coming up next. So stay with Roku channel as always. Thanks for joining us today, folks. Any last words, guys?
Not for me. Got to go. I got to do
I'm ready
this
for football.
huddle.
All right. Have a good one, Keith. Thanks a lot.
See you guys.
Thanks, Shane.
Bye-bye.